Hi, welcome to my session on creating a dynamic financial and business model in Microsoft Excel. I chose this topic because I believe this is something a lot of people struggle with. They have business plans. They are not finance experts. They are not financial modelers, but they want to be able to quickly just lay out their plan in Excel and then have Excel show them how things will play out and be able to change figures in their input and see the output adjust accordingly. So I hope that you will be able to take some confidence in the fact that you can create this from scratch yourself without having to squeeze your company, squeeze your plan into some templates you download on the line on the web that is not aligned with your nature of business. So my name is Michael Olafusi. I'm a 7 times Microsoft Excel MVP. I also have some other qualifications, and but you can always read that on this slide here. You can reach me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just type my name, Michael Olafusi, and make sure that you pick the image that looks like mine. You can also connect with me on Twitter, which is at Olafusi Michael. You can go on our website www.yourbizedge.com to see if there are some of the services we render that you would like to, purchase. You can email me at mike@yourbizedge.com, and you can reach us on +234 700 analytics. Okay, so let's dig into what I have planned. So I have here a company that started last year by virtue of the COVID-19. So they decided they were going to make face masks, hand sanitizers, test tubes, and syringes. So, and then if you are making a product, what's the estimate of volume you're going to be able to push out periodically? So on this case, we are going by yearly. What's the price you estimate to sell at? And then what's the cost of production? So like that for all the 4 products. And then what are the expenses you will incur? So first of all, the general and admin expenses. So these I have laid out. These are things that you can always get out from your business plan. So people already have these figures. Even if they don't have it in Excel, they have it, amongst many different Word documents, emails, and the other things they've done in coming up with how they are going to go about the business. And then marketing, if you also want to make adverts, you also lay out the figures as I have done here. If you have a research and development unit, the tax you're going to pay, corporate income tax, and then also if you have a loan, if you don't have a loan, all well, just this will be 0. But if you have a loan, this makes things easy. You see how it will plug into your model. And then the money you're going to raise as equity, the ones you raise, ordinary equities, then the one that is as preference share. The good thing is if you are raising money and you don't know whether it's preference or ordinary, then most likely it's ordinary, because if you are raising a preference share, then obviously it will be stated as a preference share. But you can always read that up in case that's something you want to have more knowledge on. Just know that the money you are raising, you need to have it there and have it separated, because the way ordinary share is treated is different from the way preference share is treated. The money you're going to spend on capex, building, plant, vehicle, office, furniture, equipment, software, and then how long it's going to take you to get your sales. So receivables outstanding, so you're going to take on average 7 days to get people to pay you. You're going to maybe pay twice a month, at the middle of the month, at the end of the month, your suppliers. That's your days payable outstanding. And then how many days will it take you to sell out your inventory? So if you think it on average it will take you 10 days to empty out your inventory, you always have 10 days worth of inventory, then great. So with all these things that you normally will have, people I do work this sort of laying out their business plans, they have these figures, even if not in one place. So the main problem is how can they go from all of this to seeing how the profit and loss will look like? And then more importantly too, what if they want to be able to adjust these figures? What if they want to be able to say, I change my mind? Or what if I'm able to raise the price of our product, and you want to see how that will impact your profit? So we are going to start right now. I have created a scenario sheet. I'm going to recreate some portion of it. I just wanted to make things a bit fast. So I have a sheet that we call scenario sheet. So let me just create it from scratch so that you get some ideas of how I went about it. I copy these first lines. So this is something you'll be doing a lot, reusing things in Microsoft Excel. It's something that you need to get comfortable with. So I copy this. I'm going to say I want to be able to select a scenario. Right? And then this scenario that I want to select, I want my user to have a drop down. So if I go to developer, if you don't have developer, go to file, go to options, go to customize ribbon, go to look on the right side. Most likely developer is not checked. Make sure it is checked. Click on OK. Instantly you will have developer tab. Go to insert here, pick the combo box. So when I pick the combo box, draw something of this size. This is okay. It might even be too big. You can reduce, you can anyhow. And then we need to, right now it's empty. We need to set options in it. So I intend to set options that I'm going to call optimistic, pessimistic, and conservative. So you give yours the name you want. You will call yours worst case, best case, base case. So the name is not so important in the functionality. Optimistic, conservative case, pessimistic case. And what I want is that you as the user, you're able to, so I'm going to right click on this and say format control. You're able to select from those options. So I'm going to go to where I have written these options now and say these are the 3 options you pick from, and whatever you pick should be reflected here. So that's this cell link, and then I do OK, and then I come back here and I see that play out in my drop down. So now I'm able to pick anyone. Okay, so that's how I did this part. And then the other part is a lot more straightforward. It's just to grab the product names and then all the things we want to change about them. So you could just say face masks. First of all, grab the period. And then what do? I'm going to say I want 1, 2, 3, 4. So I insert 4. I insert 4 rows. I can reduce this. Okay, so I can say this is optimistic. This is, let me just go grab that from here. Okay, and then this gone. And what I like to do, have a note with a bottom border, everything in italics. Okay, so conservative, I typically believe that what you have in your business plan is what you consider most realistic, most conservative, right? So I can bring that in and say that this is my conservative. So from business plan sheet. Okay, and then what I like to do is to say, what if we're able to do better than that, 10% better? What if we miss the value, something goes wrong and we are not able to achieve our target? So that's me being able to capture pessimistic, we go below what we intended. Optimistic, somehow we're able to have a better strategy and achieve more than we planned. So this becomes this times 1 plus this. I do not want that to go to column Q when I drag, so that's why I'm putting a dollar before the P to make that portion of the cell address absolute. So now I drag this. I'm going to do likewise for here, and then just adjust this to pick from here. Okay, so the same thing. but just faster because I'm reusing what I've done there. So this is what I'm going to do, right? And then I'm going to say that if you pick optimistic here, so I need to remove this here. So if you pick optimistic, right, I want optimistic to be reflected here, this figure to be reflected here. So what formula will I use? Index equal to index, right? Index all these available scenarios. Then which scenario have you picked? So the scenario you've picked is reflected here in this place, remember? So when you pick optimistic, 1 reflects here. If you pick pessimistic, 3 reflects here. So this is where that is being captured. So I'm going to make it absolute because I do not want that to drag away when I move the formula. So see what happens. Pick conservative, see 500. If you pick pessimistic, 450y, this number adjusts accordingly with the selected scenario. So with this, we have a situation where we have created a dynamic case selector, if you allow me to say that. Okay. Now, I want to make this look nicer, human readable, because everybody understands what business from business plan sheet means. But then 10% minus 10%, what does that mean? So I'm going to use what we call custom format. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that positive, so this has a pattern of positive, semicolon negative, semicolon 0, right? And what I'm going to say is that 0% and above the conservative case, and then semicolon 0% below the conservative case, and then I'm going to say same as the conservative case. So this is what I'm going to use in the custom format, and this is how it works. When it's positive, which this is, it's going to show as above conservative case, and then when it's negative, it's going to show as below conservative case, right? So I'm going to select here, right click, format cells, now custom format, then that's it, 0%. You know, if you pick percentage, that no decimal place behind with it. If you go to custom, this is what it shows. So that's the meaning of the 0% you saw me pick here. Because I know it, that's why I typed it. So I'm just going to paste it all here so it's faster. Then I do OK, and that's what happens, right? So you see that instantly you have something that is more human readable. I can make this align to the right. So anyone who is looking at this understands that if you put in a negative value here, minus 5%, it shows 5% below the conservative case. And if you put a positive value, and if you put 0, it will show same as the conservative case. So that way I have something that mathematically will work, and for use using my model, you will understand what I have done. So that's another nice thing I like to use. Maybe I'll just leave this here since I intend to give you this file. And then since I've done this, I can make my life easy by just copying and pasting these across for the other products, right? So maybe we should even reduce the number of products, since that might make things faster. What do you think? You can't answer me. So let me just do that. So I'm going to knock off all these. Okay, I'll fast forward if there's a need. So let's leave them anyway. So I'm going to come in here copy, since I've done a lot of this here now, I can copy them. Copy, bring here, and paste. Okay. I think I will knock off some products. Let's stop at 2 products so that will be a bit faster. If you know how to do for 2 products, then you automatically can do for 4 products. So I'm going to come in here and say, let's just delete this. Okay. And then I don't need this anymore. We have created it. So I'm going to delete this file and call this the scenarios. Okay, so now you know how to create scenarios. And I give this a neutral color green. So I'm going to copy what I've done here. I'm going to, let's see. So because I've done all of this one, so I'm just going to copy what I have here, paste here, paste here, copy everything, paste here, then make this. So for expenses, costs, what if we are more efficient, right? So what if we have a 5% cost saving? What if we overshoot by 5%? So do that. So for the cost items, I do that. Okay, so with this there, I just need to copy this that we've done, this index. Remember this. So I'm going to just put these here, 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 here. So that way, whenever you pick a scenario, that's what will apply across everything. Okay. So now the next thing the business owner wants to see is, so I'm going to create another sheet. Usually the business owner wants to see the revenue and cost of sales. Okay, so I'm going to, let me even separate them so that, and then I can copy everything from here, put here, and call this the revenue sheet or schedule. And so what do you want to see in the revenue? We have 2 products because I've knocked off, so I want to see what's our revenue, but then across the 2 products, which are face masks and sanitizers. Okay, but these 2 products, the revenue is going to come from what? So the revenue is going to actually come from this. So revenue is going to come from how many units we were able to push out and how much we make per unit. So this is going to come from the scenarios now. How many units? Then how much are we selling per unit? Similar here. How many units? And then how much are we selling per unit? Okay, and then the product of these 2 gets us the revenue. Do likewise here. And then here I'm simply bringing in the revenue for this, the revenue for this. The total revenue is the summation of these two. I'm going to make all of these comma styled, and then I drag. Okay, so voila, we are done with this. I can create this, duplicate it, call it cost of sales, and what do I do? Unit cost, and I'm simply changing this to peak cost, changing this to peak cost, and every other thing stays the same. So I'm going to drag it to the right. This is going to be cost of sales, and I think I want to make this bold so that it's easy to know that's the main value. So what have we achieved? See, for 2020 we 900 million naira. So naira is the currency I'm using here, so that's why the money can be that huge. And if I change this to pessimistic, that should go down. See, it's gone down. Cost also should have changed. Alright, so I'm going to take it back to conservative. Then one other thing I want to do is I want this to be dynamic, to reflect exactly what scenario we are on. So I'm going to just come in here and say this is equal to yes, but then and index the different scenarios, comma, which option the user is now on. Okay, so that way when you toggle the scenarios, this also changes, right? So good. Then I can tell everybody else to link to that particular cell. And I can do likewise across all these ones, across here. Tell them to go pick up the applied scenario from here. Okay, so with this information, we can have our income statement building up. Okay, so let's do the structure of the income statement. Maybe we'll stop at the income statement. Well, let's just see. Most owners of business too, income statement might be where you want to. They are okay with income statement sometimes because the statement of financial position, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement can be a bit tricky for them to do. So anyway, let's see how we can max. So I'm going to reuse some of what I have here. I'm going to call this the income statement. And then what are the things that should be showing up there? I want to see revenue. I want to see the cost of sales. From there, I want to see our gross profits. So I want this to have a bottom button. Then I also want to see what our general and admin expenses. Okay, so I want to see the general and admin expenses. I want to see what's our marketing expenses. I want to see also, are we spending on R&D? And I think that's what we have captured in ours. Okay, so from here I should be able to get what our operating expenses will be. Okay, then I'll do likewise. From there, do we have any debt that we are servicing? Okay, so do we have finance income, finance cost, and I'm going to say with that I should be able to get my profits. Should be able to get the profits before tax, the tax, and then the profits, net profit. Maybe this is what we will do up to. Okay, so the net profit, I'm going to do some of what I've done as regards applying a bottom or a top border. For this, I'm going to give it this one. Okay, so right now we have what we get the revenue out from this. To make my work easier to read, comma style. Okay, so now I have the revenue. I also have the cost of sales. I'm going to make that come in negative, so it makes it easy to identify as an expense. And with this, you can do what will be the gross profit, right? Okay. And then the general and admin expense, let me just go pick that directly from here. I'm not doing any scenarios around it. The marketing expense, I'm also not doing any scenarios around it. Let me make the two come in negative. We don't have R&D, but let's link to it. With that information, I'm able to say it should get us and then the finance income. Okay, so the finance income is 0. We've not said anything about them putting money aside in an interest-bearing account. So finance cost, okay, which is this interest expense. Okay, so we already have it here. Anytime you take a loan, naturally, it's very easy. The details will be there. Are you going to repay quarterly, and that's how the principal will be spread. So these are things that already come as information that you would have. I'm just simply going to plug it in here and say the finance cost, and I drag here. Then the profit before tax is going to be equal to this. Let me just sum up everything here. Okay. And then the tax. So what's the tax? The tax is going to be equal to this times the tax rate. The tax rate. Okay. And then I need to do two adjustments. I want this to come in an expense direction, and so I drag it. But then what if you make a loss? So imagine that somehow you made a loss. You see, this is still computing. If you make a loss, then you won't pay tax. You won't pay tax. So I need to adjust this formula and say that if you make a loss, then you pay 0. So I'm using a max to set a lower limit that you will never pay. It's a bit tricky to explain. I have a video where I explain how you use max and min to set up like a ceiling and a floor. So that's what I'm doing anyway here. That way it correctly knows that when you make a loss, then you will not be paying anything. So that's the adjustment I'm doing to the formula. Then, and voila, we are done with our income statement, right? And what's super exciting about this is that we have done it in such a way that the user, you, can come here to scenario and have like a range of value. You know, what's the worst case that can happen? What's the worst case that can happen? And then you go to your income statement, you see this is what will your income statement, your net profit will look like. And then what's the best that can happen too, you know, if things go really, really awesome, right? So you see that these are very easy to do. And this is nice. It might not have all the bells and whistles that you see in some templates, but when you are doing your business financial plans and projections, this is usually what you want to see. And if you are good with balance sheet and cash flow, you could take it further. So, but for us, we are going to stop here because I've made the point. I've shown you how you can lay out all your plans and then see how these plans, you can create scenarios around them. See how with the scenarios you can extract out some figures that you need and then start to do the things that make sense to you. What's your profit and loss going to be like? So I'm going to move to the next one, which is what about a situation that it's around a project. It's about something that is timed. Okay, so you're going to construct. You want to go into a project where you'll be making refined sugar. Maybe right now this is going to be taken as a standalone project. So it's a bit different from the way we do for the business plan, where you're going to raise money, you're going to have a full, as we have done for income statement, we're going to do for balance sheet. For this one, we just want to see what will be the cash flow. How will money come in? How will we fund the operations? Is there going to be a rate of return? What's the internal rate of return going to be like? And then what's the return profile and when we will break even? So for those ones, and the thing people like is this. So I've created an approach that makes it easy for you to have a dynamic project template. So a dynamic project period template, that's what I want to talk about. So that's this is what I'm saying. I put the period start. Everybody knows how to do this. Period start, period end, year, days in period, and then what are the project parameters? When are we going to do the finance close? You know, like close on the financing, and then when will the model kick off? So people sometimes like their model to kick off after the financing is closed, and you know, they start spending and allocating the fund. Project period, do we want it to be quarterly? So what I've done here is you can also make it monthly. Now I want you to look at something. Just look at this place. Now if I switch this thing to monthly, see? If I switch it to half yearly, see? And if I switch it to yearly, see? So I want to show you how to do this. So this can be a template that if you're doing a project that you want to just check on the yearly basis, then cool. You just come in here, plug this yearly, copy everything out and go and do. The problem is you might not be able to use this for, well, you can anyway. So I gave us something to try out with this knowledge, but let me rebuild it from scratch, and then you get to see how to also do this yourself. Okay. Okay, so good. I'm going to create a new sheet. So I'm going to say all of this that I have here now. Period plan, this. Okay. All right. So the project parameters. I'm going to copy this, paste here. Okay, good. So the ones in yellow are inputs. That's why I color them here, which means these are things you want to change, you want to put. And I think you know how to do this, right? So I'm not going to repeat doing this. So these ones are calculated. If you pick yearly, then it will know that the annual to period conversion will be 1. If you pick, and the moment you do that, so here, how many years is the model going to run for? So for this particular business, the operations will be 12 years. The plant can only run for 12 years. So if the company, if it's profitable, we can move to phase 2, which will mean maybe scrapping the plant, setting up another plant, and then that kicks off the phase 2 of this project. Okay, and then the plant has all these conditions. So the model, when we say the model is going to be 13 years, 1 year to construct. So we're going to start construction on the 1st of January, and we're going to end the construction. So let's start. Model start dates, let's even say 2022. So financing ends 2021. Okay. And then we want this model to be, let's start with quarterly. So if you pick quarterly, we know that quarter means there are 4 quarters in a year. If you pick monthly, there are 12 months in a year. And if you pick half yearly, there are, okay. So what did I do? I did switch. You can use if, but switch is faster. Then how many years will this run for? 13 years. So you'll be wondering, how did I do it? If you type to a 13, it's popping up with the years. Remember, I did it just some minutes back. So if you come in here, format cells, and then you go to custom format, and then the year, and then I say years. That's what will happen. Okay, so I've done that. I'm not doing it again. And with this information, it will know exactly how many, when the model will end. So that will be starts and how many years times months. Okay, so that one. When is construction starting? Construction is going to start immediately on the first day of the model start date. So immediately after financing close. That's January 1. How long to construct? So we're going to take 12 months to construct, and then the end, so similar to, you see, is going to be exactly how many months after construction. Then when is operation starting? Operation is starting immediately after construction. So let's say we kick off operation immediately after construction. And then this factory, for the first year, we are going to have 70% utilization. Then the last year, because by the last year it won't be as effective, like it won't be working as well as it was in the first year. So we said, okay, let's say it's working, to be failing often, more maintenance and all of that, 75%. But then the other years we hope to use it up to 85% utilization of capacity utilization. Okay, so that's what I've done here. So it can work at 120 tons per hour, so 120 tons of sugar per hour. It will operate for 16 hours a day, and then it's based on what we have said. You'll see that how many years between when you end the model and when operation starts. So there are 12 years. So this is computed automatically. That means that the operations is going to end exactly, after 12 years of operating the equipment, which is after 1 year of construction. So that's what I have here as a model parameter. So, okay, so then the other thing is that the unit economics. So the unit economics, let me just copy this. Okay, so the factory capacity, the capacity utilization, what are the products we are making. So the machine, the plant can simultaneously do refined sugar and raw sugar. So how are we splitting the capacity? So are we splitting it 50-50? So maybe we'll do that then. Okay, so we are having the carcass of the template, right? So let's start. So let me just make things a bit faster for myself. I'm going to do view, new window. I'm going to take this one to a separate screen so that I can type faster. Type faster. Okay, and then I'm going to be looking at my screen over there and start typing here. All right. So when are we starting the entire model? The model starts, let's see, model starts at is this. Okay, and then the next thing is I want to make things faster for myself. Okay, all right, so good. The model, the period end is going to be based on whatever you have picked in. Are we doing half yearly, half quarterly? So let's start with, what if it's monthly? Then this would be like 1 month after year, right? So this would be equal to like EO months, right? This date, right? And then 1 month. But there's something funny about this. So it will be like next month. So I put 0, it gets me next month. I'm going to format these as date. Okay. So this is 1 month, beginning of January to end of January. Okay. If you had put 1 year, that's 2 months, January and here. So you get what I had to do. So what I want to do is something that will be monitoring whatever you pick here. Okay. So let's make this absolute and say if what you picked is monthly, right, then it should do 0. If what you picked is quarterly, right, then it should do 3 months, which I have to put 2. Remember, for 1 month I have to put 0. So for 3 months I have to put 2. Okay. Then if what you picked is half yearly, then that will be like 6 months, but again I have to put 5. And then the only other option is yearly, so let's say 12 months, but I have to put 11. Let's see, that looks like it. What have I done wrong, huh? Okay, yes, so I didn't close one more bracket, so that's it. So if you come in here and you flip this to quarterly, see, it's working correctly. Then I can do how many days. So the number of days in between those periods, we do year after. Okay, let's do year now. So year is equal to year of this anyway. There's something about the year, but I don't want to bring it in because I want to stick to the time. Then the days in period is going to be equal to this minus this, right? And you know when you say 1 minus 10, it will give us 9 days. But we know that from day 1 to day 10 is 10 days. So you need to add back that 1 day that it loses when you say 10 minus 1. Okay, so I have to say plus that 1 more day. So that does it correctly. So if you see monthly, it knows correctly that are 31 days. Alright, so this is what the period start will be last period's end. These other ones I can drag. Okay. So in this case now, I need to, something seemed to have gone wrong. Okay. Let's see. This human, oh, okay, I forgot to, this plus 1. So the next thing. Alright, so we can drag this to wherever we think it will end, right? Okay, so another thing I want to do is that I want to make it dynamic such that this should end exactly at 12 years at the end of operations. It shouldn't go too far, right? So what do? I select everything. Okay, I go to conditional formatting. So I go to conditional formatting, I go to new rule. I want to do a formula. Let me zoom. So in my formula, what I want, let me drag this. Okay, no problem. So what I want is a case where, let's see if the dragging will move now. Okay. Good, so this is better. All right, so I want that if this date here, right? So this date here, I want the column to move. Okay, good. If this date is greater than my model end date, this is my model end date. So if that happens, I want this to be all font color should be white. So it kind of disappears, right? So that's the whole idea. So white, it blends with the background. That's what I want to do. Do okay. Let's see that in action. So what will happen if you keep scrolling? Once I get to 2034, after that, if I have done it correctly, everything should seem like they've stopped, they've disappeared. See? Now, why did I need to do this? Is because if I change this to yearly, the period is going to be a lot more reduced. If I didn't do that, I'll still be having more figures here. They are there, but now they are not visible. Okay, so that's another thing I do. And then let's move on to, so I'm looking at the time, I need to wrap up. So let me just show you how I also allowed that to play out in this other place. So I'm going to just bring back this other screen. So if you come in here, I use the same stuff here such that automatically it knows. So there's a formula here that computes that until construction is done, we will not be producing. So right now it knows that we are constructing in the first year. If you change this to monthly, it knows that we started the production at 70% in the second year. But if you come here and you swap this to quarterly, can you see that it knows to wait to the end of the first year? So there's a formula I've done here to apply that. Then this is just verbatim. 50%, we are splitting production 50% across the two. Then the refined sugar. So with that information, you can be able to get all these other ones. So I want you to try this on try to do more. Try to apply that knowledge to complete this and get out the profit and maybe internal rate of return, net present value. So this is where I'm going to end. Thank you for joining this session. I'll be in the chat box waiting your questions. So thank you very, very much, and I hope you enjoyed it.